In Myrtle Beach, you always go at your own pace. Lie out on the sand, lie out by the pool, go boogie boarding, go surfing, walk the boardwalk, walk the marsh walk, golf at one of 90 golf courses, mini golf at one of 50 mini golf courses, fish off a pier, fish from a chartered boat, go shopping, get drinks, eat the freshest seafood. The list is exhaustive, but the experience isn't. You can go all out or do nothing at all. How you relax is up to you. There is so much to do and explore, whether you're traveling with friends, family, or just yourself. With 60 miles of beach, you're going to find your place. If this sounds like what you need, then this is where you belong.
Twisted Tea and Myrtle Beach wholesaler Better Brands Incorporated know our consumers enjoy relaxing days on the water with Twisted Tea's original hard iced tea in hand. It's important to remember drink and boat responsibly. Choose to be or designate a sober skipper before leaving the dock. Do it for your family and your friends, your passengers, and everyone else on board. Twisted Tea salutes all sober skippers who take the pledge. Cheers, and we'll see you on the water.
Realtree has always had a connection to the fishing industry and the outdoor lifestyle. In 2016, Realtree expanded on the traditional business of creating the world's most effective camouflage patterns to create a fishing brand and family of patterns designed to connect the woods to the water and strengthen the bond between the two worlds. We couldn't be more excited to be working with the industry's top brands, retailers, and anglers to continue our growth, and we hope that you will join us. Enjoy Realtree fishing patterns inshore, offshore, on the lake, or at the dock. Learn more about the extensive line Realtree fishing patterns, apparel, gear, and more at Realtree.com. Trilogy Outdoors.
All right, folks, welcome to Trilogy Outdoors Podcast, and it is my pleasure to be here. I'm Captain E, by the way. It's my pleasure to be here with my esteemed colleague, Senator Stephen Goldfinch, in the Trilogy Outdoors Podcast studio. I mean, we're going to get a big sign made in here. Maybe we'll get Jay Bass to make one out of driftwood, but we are also joined by my co-host on Southern English Radio Show on Saturday mornings, the one and only Tony the Bassmaster Carter. And
Bassmaster.
The Bassmaster. And while today's show is going to be talking bass with the event that we have going on here this week in Georgetown County, being the Bassmasters College National Championship, which is the biggest show in college bass fishing anywhere, and it's right here in our backyard. But we had a big tournament last weekend in our backyard, and that was the Spanish Mackerel World Championships, which all three of us participated in. And I'll speak for Tony and myself. We had a great time. Well, I think there was a lot of laughs, a lot of hugs, a lot of happiness shared. We got a lot of laughs at other people around us. And we got to do a lot of cheering because we actually got to see the first and second place fish caught. We actually got to witness those two fish get caught. And then the third place fish was caught near where we were. But y'all had a great time as well. And I know you're not a big Spanish mackerel fishing, and I thank you so much. The things that I make you do, and I owe you a lot, but the things that I get you to do, because of our partnership, I can't thank you enough. And participating this weekend means a lot to me. I know it meant a lot of people to see you there. You know, at the end of the day, you are our senator, and just like your neighbor that just came up to me talking, you know, when I was telling her about our business and everything else, she's like, I don't care. I just love that Stephen's our senator. So
well, that's nice. And I'm sort of picking on you a little bit about making me do some of these things. King fishing, for instance, and Spanish fishing, for instance. But, I mean, how can you have a bad time while you're fishing? Which leads me to another topic, okay? I'm going to make a suggestion. It's just a suggestion. Tell me I'm a moron if you'd like. But I think we ought to start migrating, even though I have nothing to do with the ownership or the committee-ship of the Spanish tournament.
Absolutely, you do.
I think we ought to start.
Our company does.
Well,
Keep
our
going.
company does, for sure. But I think we ought to start thinking about migrating this over to a kid-centric tournament because I know you fish with kids. I fish with kids a lot. We had a lot of kids on the boat, on my boat, and it doesn't matter if they're reeling in a spot or a pinfish or a bluefish or Spanish mackerel. They're having a good time doing it. And the difference in a 1.5 pound and a 2.5 pound Spanish doesn't mean a lot to us as adults, but it means a whole lot to kids. And I don't know. I mean, there was something about some people had poor attitudes about winning or losing over a 1/4 ounce or a 1/2 ounce, and these are adults. We're talking about Spanish mackerel fishing. And, I mean, for goodness sake, y'all, I mean, grow up, right? I mean, just grow up. It's okay.
Oh, boy.
It's okay. And I don't want to get into the details.
Do you think my partner's trying to help me out a little bit here? But I think he is. But keep going. Yeah, listen.
I mean, the world goes on. Life goes on. It's just fishing.
Yep.
Okay? Kids don't have that kind of, let's just call it a cloud following them around.
Yep.
They're there to have a good time. And you know what? If they get a trophy or a check or a lollipop at the end of the day, they're just as happy as they can be.
I want to tell you, I'm going to give a shout out to all the lady and youth angler winners. But the third place youth winner, Hannah Reagan, daughter of Captain Chris Reagan over at Myrtle's Inlet Fishing Charters. I got to give her a shout out because I had a couple things left over that with all the chaos of the awards and everything, we kind of forgot to do. But after learning how excited she was about being third place, and that's her first tournament ever, I had a rod that I needed to give away to somebody, and I could not have thought of anybody better than her. And I went over to her house, rang the doorbell. Kim gave her a Real Diva shirt, and walked.
Which are great shirts, by the way.
Thank you. And I walked to the door, and let me tell you something, dude. She came to that door with Chris, and she said, I just left my bedroom. I was just looking at my trophy. And I'm like, that's what it's all about.
Right. That's exactly what it's all about. I mean, but to so many people nowadays, the tournament is all about, I don't know, is it like bragging rights and money? And it's turned into that I saw a lot of negativity, which I didn't like to see in tournaments. I know it happens, but kids don't have that problem. I mean, not in the same way that adults do. And it's just so much fun to watch a kid catch a Spanish mackerel, even if it's a pound, catch a Spanish mackerel and have that joy that it brings to his or her face. And I don't know how yet, and we could talk about this, but I think sort of more of a kid-centric approach next year. Maybe 1 prize for the adult winner and 10 prizes for the kids. And maybe that'll give everybody the right attitude.
I say definitely we need to focus. So, with only 3 trophies this year for the kids and 3 cash prizes, which are great. And thank you so much to 7C Seafood, Chris Conklin, for sponsoring those cash prizes. But there were a lot of kids that fished. I mean, I picked up a good friend of mine.
Always is.
Yeah.
Michael Gasper had 3 youth on his boat. I mean, at the end of the day, I think what we're dealing with, first and foremost, when it comes to tournament fishing, and we're going to really talk a lot of bass fishing here in a little bit, but right now, when it comes to tournament fishing, and when you're talking about adults, you're dealing with egos. Particularly, you got all these charter captains who are out there, and for them, I mean, it's for them to win. It is a great marketing thing for their business.
Sure.
And so I understand that side of it, but when it's not the end of the world. Let me just share another Chris Reagan story with Hannah. Chris and I were talking yesterday. Chris was bawling on the boat as a dad when Hannah caught that fish. I mean, that to me, and Tony and I have talked about it in the past. Tony was with me when I bawled when I caught my biggest. I cried like a baby when I caught my biggest bass, which I had been trying to break the 5-pound mark in the river here for so long. And when I caught it, was in a tournament with Tony, and we gave a big hug, and he saw me shed some tears, and he's like, dude, don't ever stop that. Don't ever stop getting that excited about a big bass.
Right.
I think you're right. I mean, let's all be kids for the tournament. But
right.
When there's that much money at stake, which again, the winner is I think the winner ended up winning all totaled everything around $11,000. That's a lot for a Spanish mackerel tournament. That's why it's the World Championship. But that's a lot for a $50 entry.
Say for a $50 entry fee, which is basically cheaper than most of your flounder tournaments nowadays.
Absolutely.
That everybody goes nuts and 300 people wants to fish for $1,000.
Yeah.
You're talking about a lot of money for a $50 buy-in. And I think that has a lot to do with why. I mean, you look about it, I don't know if you know, but we actually have families that fish this tournament just from out of state.
Yeah.
They literally come to South Carolina every year just
to fish the tournament.
This tournament with their wives and with their kids.
Yeah.
And it is such a good time at the end of the day. And I think it's going to grow tremendously by the changes that's already been put in place, the way things evolved this year. I don't see anything except upward bounds, and the sky's the limit.
Well, we're moving. I mean, look, you're exactly right, Tony. We're moving in the right direction. I think we learned a lot from this tournament.
Absolutely.
And we're going to use what we've learned from this tournament for the Grand Strand Fishing Rodeo.
Yep.
And I mean, we're going to make the rodeo huge.
Yep.
It's going to be huge.
And I think
success.
with the rodeo too, with the way we're going to weigh fish and the scales and everything, the issue that we had, should not be a problem. And at the end of the day, with also the fact that the weight of your fish will help you qualify, yes, but that's not going to be the decisive factor in whether you win the grand prizes.
That's exactly right.
So,
the grand prize is going to come from a drawing of the winners.
Yep.
Right? So, I mean, I think that discourages the wrong people from getting in. I think that discourages the wrong people from cheating. And I hope that encourages a lot of kid involvement, which is, really what we all ought to be focused on, is getting kids outdoors.
Well, I told my team starting out, here's the deal, I don't have a defense on this. This is completely my fault for being a hypocrite. We fished 4 adults on the boat. Last year we fished with the 4 of us, and we won. Therefore, we wanted to give ourselves the chance to repeat, which has not happened yet in the history of the previous Spanish tournament. But next year, and I said it, did I not, Tony? I said, this boat will not leave the dock without at least Russ on it, and hopefully Kinsley. But it will not leave without Russ next year because, the kid loves being outdoors. I had to take him Saturday morning and get him out there because he wanted to go. And so next year, I will have Tony and I will have as many kids on the boat as we can. And hopefully Jimmy and Adam will fish with us as well because we do have a great time. Adam Dellinger, host of Gator Morning Show. We did. We had a blast. But we had a good time. But, we'll move on because if you want to find out more about the Spanish Mackerel World Championships, that's right, Spanish Mackerel World Championships held here in Murrells Inlet annually. Go to our Facebook page and check out more information. Get involved with us next year. But we do have a big event coming up this weekend here in Georgetown County. And, Senator Stephen Goldfinch, you represent an area that is, and it's probably a lot of the reason why you are so outspoken. And when it comes to the resources, we have an incredible area here. Georgetown County and the things that it offers are, I know I'm biased, but I'm going to say second to none. But when you think about the different freshwater rivers that flow into that whole Winyah Bay area, and the amount of bass that are, within a very short boat ride of there, is no reason to question why the Bassmasters chose Georgetown for the 2022 College National Championship. And these anglers are here. They're in town. Tony and I drove down to Walkawatchee. We saw schools from Kentucky, Michigan represented there, Tennessee, and we're talking wrap trucks. Tony, do you remember the one? What was the one school's name? Something. But anyway, out of Michigan, they had their 2 trucks were wrapped. I mean, so college, this college bass fishing thing has gotten big.
Indiana is representing. I mean, they booked out.
They booked out every cabin at Hidden Marina in Georgetown. They booked those out 4 months ago. It was May.
The minute that we announced where it was going to be, they booked everything. One of them.
So it's a big impact.
That's awesome. I mean,
it's a great impact. Financially, it's a great impact for our county.
This area's got so much to offer. I mean, when you can be saltwater fishing and literally within minutes freshwater fishing. right? And a lot of places you can saltwater fish and freshwater fish in the same place. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah, but you don't have to load and unload a boat to accomplish that. You can do it all by boat, one-shot deal.
Yeah, and where I live, well, I mean, y'all aren't far from there either, but where I live, my neighborhood's on the river side of Murrells Inlet. For those of you who don't know Murrells Inlet, my neighborhood is on the river side. We've got our own little private landing. But I live a mile from the saltwater fishing landing. I mean, I go from one side to the next, and usually if I'm saltwater fishing, I'll go and dump my boat in the river just to get the saltwater off, knock the saltwater off of it, and then run the freshwater through the motor.
We've been forever, me and him have been talking about we're gonna go live on Facebook one day.
Yep.
And literally leave my driveway and go take the boat, put the boat in at Waka Wachi, go catch a legal bass, leave from Waka Wachi, go straight to Murrells Inlet, drop the boat in the water, and fish till we catch a legal flounder.
And see how long it takes.
Just how long it takes us and stay live on Facebook.
And stay live the whole time and see how long it takes. I thought that would be really cool.
I bet less than an hour. I bet you can do it in less than an hour. If you can do it in less than an hour, that'd be impressive.
That would be impressive.
That'd be impressive. But I bet you can do it. Well, no, I mean, Tony's the Bassmaster.
Yeah. So the bass part, you would hope would be easy. The flounder part, illegal, might take a little bit, but I think really and truthfully, a couple of our favorite flounder spots are literally within 100 yards of the landing, so we'd be flounder fishing immediately.
Yeah, I think that'd be an interesting little test.
You want to join us?
We were actually going to do it as a challenge to see just who could do it the fastest and see just how long it takes.
I want to join you because I want to see Tony's bass spots. More than anything.
Hey, I can tell you, if we go off this, you're only going to go right to the marina. So
you probably won't go with 100 yards from the boat landing. And if I'm on a time-oriented thing, I'm on.
We are a little spoiled. I mean, we take it for granted. But you don't have many places in the world like this. And I don't know why we're advertising it, quite honestly, because I don't want a whole lot of people to come here and take advantage of that. But, I mean, this is such a fantastic place for ecotourism. I mean, you go from paddling and kayaking to flounder fishing to bass fishing to, I mean, you name it, we've got it, parasailing, scuba diving, spearfishing, and, the Myrtle Beach Chamber has got it right.
I was going to say, visit Myrtle Beach, and our partners that visit Myrtle Beach, they have it right. And they finally, when we met with them back in January, when you and I met, and when the ecotourism kept coming up, I was like, finally, because I've been meeting with them for years. And the fishing, outdoorsy stuff kind of fell behind the restaurants and the nightlife and all that.
Listen, I mean,
and golf, which is
for years, the Myrtle Beach crowd pushed golf, and Inglis is a golf lover. He grew up in it. He went to college on it, but I mean, golf is dying. Every year there's less and less rounds of golf, but you know what's not dying?
Exactly.
Fishing licenses, hunting licenses are not dying. They're skyrocketing around here. Fishing licenses are skyrocketing around here, and good and bad. And we've had this discussion in the past. It's great, especially if you can get young kids out there. As a dad, especially during COVID, it showed me, a dad of young kids, it showed me, and I know, it showed me something that I'm not sure I would have seen in the same light COVID did.
Yep.
And it was our ability to help. I mean, we help, right? I mean,
right.
when you're a dad of young kids, you help. You push the vacuum around. You wash the dishes. You load the lunch boxes at night. I mean, you do your thing, right? But really what helps is getting these kids
outdoors,
outside.
Yep.
Right? And COVID gave us the ability to just take them for days.
And you're awesome at it. You're one of the best. And Kim and I have talked about it. Like, you are an incredible daddy. With as busy as you were, you had Senate going on, your law practice, and everything else. And I was like, but like every single day, like I won't talk to Stephen for a day. I'll go a day, and then the next day he'll be like, oh, man, the redfish were biting down in Georgetown yesterday. I took the kids down. Or I'm going to go tarpon fishing.
Yeah.
I said, who are you going with? Oh, just me and the kids.
Yeah,
and that one
sometimes is a disaster.
Yep.
And it's hard, and sometimes they whine. We've been out here too long. It's too hot. The mosquitoes are too bad. The fish aren't biting. The fish are biting too much. they're playing with the bait, they're killing the bait. But at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, that you're supposed to get them out there and get them away from mama for a little bit, right?
Yep.
I mean, mama needs a break.
Mama needs a break, and I know I'm vouching for you and me. Boy, it is nice when we make mama happy with stuff like that.
Gosh.
It makes our life so much easier.
When mama's happy,
Everybody's happy. Well, listen, I tell you what. So we're going to talk the College Bassmasters National Championship in Georgetown. Competition is this Friday, the 2nd. It's the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we have 130 teams here, but I have Beth Goodall, who's going to be joining us later in the podcast, and 2 anglers, local anglers, friends of ours, real good friends of ours, that are going to be fishing. We're going to get them on the phone here in just a minute. Now, they are on the water right now, and let me tell you real quick, Tony, set the guidelines with you. So we're going to, when we're not talking to them, we're going to talk about, Tony's got some great ideas. I mean, Tony is, real quick, just so everybody knows, if you ever got to see Tony's bass trophies, it is incredible. He has won so many bass tournaments in the area here. Tony is not just a great bass fisherman. He explains it. He shares it. The 2 kids that we're going to be talking to, Tony in the past years has been there to help them, give them tips. But today we can't do that because we're under the rules of the tournament. So we're going to let them discuss exactly how they got to the tournament, qualified, and we're going to talk about a very vague idea of what they may be doing for the tournament because we are going to have this uploading tonight, and we don't want competitors to find it and get some tips. So
what happens are we running short on time? We need to call them right now?
We need to call one in a second, but we're good. Keep going.
What happens if you win?
Okay, so my understanding and Tony's understanding, and we're not exactly precise on it, but I think the 2 that win will win an opportunity to fish off in another tournament to qualify for the Bassmasters Classic.
You mean 2 on the same boat that win?
Yeah, it's a team. It's a 2-man event.
Right. I'm sorry, and y'all, this show my ignorance in bass fishing. So there's a 2-man team on a boat.
Right. Representing the college.
They fish for a total aggregate weight.
Right. Yep.
Okay, and whoever wins the total aggregate weight wins the tournament.
Yep.
And then that gives them the opportunity to go fish professionally in a Bass Elite Series.
Exactly, and they'll get it. They'll also be qualified for that.
Now, don't we have the Bassmasters Tournament here this year, right?
No, this year they're not coming back, but hopefully in the near future. I'll tell you this much: this week, BASS and Bassmasters Elite will be announcing their schedule. Beth may be holding on to something that she's not shared with me yet. She typically does share with me early.
Okay. Hopefully I didn't spoil anything. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I had heard.
All right. I'll just tell you this. Okay. If you're in the know before I am, I can understand that one, and I'd be okay with it.
No, but, I don't think.
But she normally runs everything to me or through me or tells me because she knows that obviously between all our outlets that we have at Trilogy Outdoors, we do an incredible job, and that's why we're a partner with the tournament down there. But and the sponsorships. I mean, the companies that will jump on board with these guys, the money that they'll make before they even hit the water if they win. I'm just saying.
It
would be
life-changing for both of these young men that win. I mean, it's just that simple.
So our good friend Patrick Walters, I tried to get him on with us today, and unfortunately it's his birthday, but fortunately it's his birthday. Happy birthday, Patrick. And also Chris Blanchett, who is a friend of ours and fished with us, used to fish weekly with us, moved to Charleston. Both of those have won the national championship. They both fished for the Gamecocks and won it. So I wanted to get them on and talk about what happens afterwards. What happened afterwards. Chris went on to business and got into the business world, and now is back trying to chase the bass fishing. And then, of course, Patrick, we know, went straight to bass fishing, and the rest is history right now. I mean,
never look back.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. I heard it mentioned one time by a commentator. He is a future Hall of Famer. Do you agree?
Oh, without question. Without question.
He's a future Bass Hall of Famer. So, I mean,
cool, I guess.
At his young age. Yeah. But what I'm going to do right now, real quick, let me give you a background on Jackson Denny. Jackson Denny is a writer for our magazine, Trilogy Outdoors.
Does a great job.
Does a great job writing for us. He also is an angler with the Gamecocks. Jackson has qualified. He qualified actually about 12 months ago for this national championship. And we're going to talk to Jackson on the water. He and his partner, Colton, are out there right now, and let's see if we can get them on and see if they won't share some stuff. And let's talk about, real quick, we're going to give them a couple minutes. Now, they are, again, in the middle of practice. So we've got to,
So we'll be lucky.
we don't want to interrupt,
We'll be lucky if we get them.
We'll be lucky if we get them.
They may be in the middle of catching a bass.
Yeah, we don't want to interrupt much of their time.
These kids are a product of
Salt. Every one of them is a product of salt as well.
salt.
Hello, you've reached Jackson Denny. Please
And
leave your name and number, and I'll
what
get back
my
to you soon.
Thursday tournaments is all about. I've been fishing with these kids since,
The Thursday tournament at Wakawachi.
yeah.
Tony, what is the, like, it's basically September now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's September. Let's just call it September 1st.
Hello, you've reached Jackson.
Sounds
Keep
like he's
going.
catching a bass.
Yep, keep going.
So September 1st, freshwater fishing around here, coastal South Carolina. What are the preferred baits for bass? I mean, you have to treat me like a dummy. I told you about the best bass fishing I do is in the lake behind the house with a spinner bait, maybe a worm, if I have all the stuff to do it. What's the preferred bait this time of year?
This time of the year, you cannot go wrong with anything top water.
Anything topwater.
Anything top water. And I've
Why is that?
it's starting to come out of the deep summer haunts and make that fall transition as the water cools a little bit. The bait fish tend to move to the backs of the pockets. We have little shad spawns here and there, and wherever the food is, that's where the bass are going to be. And that just...
So this is a...
You know, don't get me wrong. You can catch them top to bottom any way you prefer. But for a consistent bite, right now, a topwater frog, a topwater bangalore, a buzz bait, anything on top that represents a bait fish, it's an automatic.
Yeah, okay. And and that doesn't have anything to do with the time of day either?
No, time of day has nothing to do with it. Now,
For us, the tide.
the tide and the timing has a lot to do with it.
What do you mean now? Tell me about the tide. I mean, if you don't want to tell me about the tide.
Oh, no, we're
No,
Tell me about the
the
tide.
tide dictates everything when the fish turn on to feed
Okay.
and when they turn off. But fishing a topwater lure, that's any time of the day, daylight to dark, high, low, it doesn't matter. Something about a topwater lure that gets their attention and holds their attention. And sometimes if it stays in their little strike zone, their little kill zone long enough, it has a tendency to where it will trigger something. And I've seen them slap a topwater lure 3 foot in the air, not trying to eat it. It just tends to aggravate them.
Like a predatory response.
Yes,
They might not even be hungry.
they're domain.
They are territorial.
oriented.
Very
Man,
bad.
it is ridiculous. And I mean, literally, you'll see them come up and you'll see them slap a lure
Yeah.
out the water, and you'll never get them to come back and touch it again. But they just was getting it away from them. So anything you could throw top water right now, I would pick it up and I wouldn't put it down.
All right. What's the deal with the tide? So you prefer like a low tide rising, or?
The 2.5 hours before low tide to 2.5 hours after low tide
Okay.
is
So low water.
typically- It's
You want low water.
The halfway point of the tide, up and down, is where you want to be sitting. And Inglis has seen it hundreds of times in my boat. You can go down a bank and fish for 4 hours and never get a bite, and come right back 15 minutes later and get 100 bites.
Yep.
It's just something about the tide and the way it sets up. Water breaks behind down trees and logs and treetops and stumps, and it just, I guess it sucks all the bait.
Yeah.
You know, you taking 90% of the fish is going to be caught in 10% of the water, and when you take and drop that water diameter down to where it's not out in the woods and in the swamps, so comes all the bait that lives in the water. It all has to compact itself into that one area.
Smaller areas, and that was the one thing for the longest time. It took me a while to get through my head. When I thought, the falling tide, low tide bite was better, was because of something dealing with the moon or whether it was a major or minor, blah blah blah. It is simply the fact that you're limiting the areas that they have to get away from you. Yeah. I mean, you're basically limiting the areas where they're going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Andrew is ready to talk, so I'm going to call Andrew right now. Let's get Andrew on again. Andrew Vereen of Team CCU and his partner Connor are on the water.
CCU is Coastal
Carolina University. That's right. Our boys in teal right here in our backyard.
The Chanticleers.
And here's another one who fished Student Angler League Tournament Trail with Rayburn and has gone on to college. And Andrew's a great.
Yeah.
Hey, brother.
What's going on?
Man, we just doing a little podcast here and wanted to talk to one of our favorite bass fishermen about what's going on this week. And, real quick, we don't want to keep you from your pre-fishing. I've got Tony on, and I've got Senator Stephen Goldfinch here with us, and we can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear. Now, your partner is Connor Cartnell. Is that how you say it?
Cartmel. Yes, sir. Connor Cartmel.
All right, and y'all are representing Team Coastal Carolina University, and let's talk about, I know Tony's got some questions. Let's talk about how in the world did you get to the College Bassmasters National Championship? It was easy, wasn't it?
Man, I wish I could say it was easy. We traveled a lot, and we had some pretty bad tournaments, but, man, we just kept fishing, and we were waitlisted for every tournament. So we showed up just not even knowing if we could fish or not. But we showed up, practiced our 2-3 days, and fished. And, man, most of our tournaments didn't really go as planned until we qualified at Logan Martin in Alabama. We had one place pretty much to ourselves. But with some of the rain that come in, it kind of messed it up one day. So we had a smaller bag than we hoped for. But, man, it's stressful. You set out all year just trying to do one thing, and that's just to qualify. When you don't do it, it's a mental game more than it is almost fishing sometimes.
And I'm going to guess that it would even have been that much worse if you had known that the national championship was going to be in your backyard, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah. We didn't find out till we were in Michigan. In Arkansas, when we went to Arkansas, there was kind of word. We could hear people talking about it. They were talking about they were either going to have it on Murray or Winyard Bay. And I was like, man, ain't no way it's going to be on Winyard Bay. They ain't going to have a tournament here. But we found out right about when we were headed to Michigan, right before we were going to Michigan. And, dude, I was excited then. I catch second gear, and I was like, Connor, we got to go, and we have to.
So,
hey, Andrew, Tony's got a question.
How far was your journey from leaving here? Did you ever come back home on that big loop, or did you just drive?
We just made a big triangle. I left the house, picked Connor up in Columbia, because it was still summer at that point, or we were out of school. And we went to Michigan, which was total from my house to Michigan was like 14 and a half hours. It was like 900, right around 900 miles. Then we fished all week, and then we left that Saturday and drove 12 hours to Alabama. And then we had 4 or 5 days of practice. So we had plenty of practice time in Alabama. And the fishing up there was pretty tough. If it wasn't for that one spot we found, we wouldn't have qualified. And then we made a 7-hour trek back home.
Well, was that drive home a little easier knowing that you finally?
That drive home, that was the best drive home I think I've ever had.
Your mom was blowing my phone up, buddy. As soon as she found out, she was blowing my phone up, letting me know, and I could not wait to get on Facebook and post it on there because we knew your situation. Of course, we'd already known that Jackson qualified because he qualified early on in the qualifying events, And so we knew you were out there, working your butt off to do it. And like Tony said, you were working a job, going to school, and trying to fish these tournaments. And that's a lot on you, man. How old are you now? 20? 21?
21.
Yeah, you just turned 21. I know that's a lot on you. I mean.
Oh yeah, but I mean it's worth all of it, all the work you put in and all the time, especially when you do good in the tournament. It really makes you smile.
Andrew, this is Stephen Goldfinch.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you talking with us. And I wanted, so, I mean, it seems to me, I don't know a whole lot about bass fishing other than just growing up, in South Carolina. The stuff you're born genetically with about bass fishing. I mean, there's a little bit of that if you're born here.
Like fishing in the pond over at Andrew's backyard.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's right.
That's about the most bass fishing I do is in a lake behind my house. But so you got to school me a little bit. A guy like you who is obviously good at what he does, what's your dream here? I mean, when you wake up in the morning, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing in this field? Or is this not? Is this just fun and you want to be a doctor? Or I mean, what do you tell me what your dream is? Where do you want to be?
And well, my dream is obviously to fish professionally, but I'm a long ways from that. I mean, growing up around here, I'm not as good with my electronics as I need to be. So I still got a lot of practice to put in and getting better with that. Because, I mean, these boys, even in college, at the college level, these boys are so good. It is hard. I mean, you can be on fish, but someone's always on better fish. But I got a lot more practice to put in and time to put it on the water. But, I mean, I would love to be able to fish the Ogans, qualify through the Opens, or even if I was able to, hindsight's 2020, or if I could, win a good college tournament, pick up some sponsors, and maybe qualify. I would love to do that. It's always been my dream, but this day and age, so many people do it. It's hard to do.
So your dream is to bass fish professionally?
Yeah, I would love to.
Absolutely.
That's a dream job.
Well, all those little stepping stones that me and you text about every week and have for years, those little stepping stones in life has set you up to this point, and you've done it the right way. You've done it the hard way, but you've done it the right way, and you know exactly what it takes to get to where you're at this point. So you keep at it. I told you a long time ago there's something in you that I seen when I first met you, that I knew you had something special, and it just had to come out of you a little at the time, and can't nobody get it out of you except you and time on the water and taking those steps that you're taking to get it. What is it going to be the end journey if you win the college championship next weekend?
Yep.
What does that entail for you in your future? Where do you go from there?
Well, it'll help mentally a lot. But then after, if you say you win, if we were to win or even come in the top 3 in the national championship, we would then leave and go to a lake that hasn't been determined yet. And me and Connor would end up having to fish against each other in the bracket. And the winner of that would get to qualify, and they could fish the Bassmaster Classic.
Wow. All right. So there we go. We just got that settled.
So
okay.
who's going to win, you or Connor?
I don't know. Connor's pretty good.
I like that.
Depends on the fishing. If it's finesse fishing, he's going to spank me.
You know what, though, I think's awesome is you brought up something. You said the one thing you need to work on is electronics. Now, how many, 12 years ago or even 6 years ago, how many bass pros or potential bass pros would have worried about the electronics? I mean, it's just another tool for the job. Now it's it's a necessity.
Yeah, it's come so far, and now it's almost like you don't have it, you get beat by it. Mm-hmm. So you got to save money and get it. And the colleges honestly help us out, college programs, with giving us some discounts so that, we're college fishermen. A lot of us can't afford full price, and they help us out. So I was able to put some on my boat, but I got to buy another graph and some more transducers and just get better at it, because it's only going to get more and more technological as we in the future.
Yeah, and Grayson McCall walks around coastal Carolina and probably is recognized by every single person on campus. And if you won this, I just want you to be warned that you would probably be Grayson McCall, and everybody would know. Hey, that's Andrew Vereen. They won the college national championships. Now, would that be awesome or what?
Well, that would be great. I mean, people realizing the work you put in and like that you actually succeeded, that feels good. But I mean, we do it because we like to fish. We don't do it for recognition or money or anything. It's just something we like to do, and we just like to compete.
Well,
Great answer.
Money's a good side benefit.
That's right. It always helps out because we put a lot of money into it.
It always helps. But the electronics thing, it's the same. It's the same with every tournament nowadays. I mean, you would have never thought 10 years ago how important electronics were in the billfish tournaments that we're having. You know, the Governor's Cup tournaments. Now the guys with all the big $120,000 side scan machines are the ones that are winning the tournaments because you can see a billfish 400 yards that way.
Yep.
You know, and it doesn't surprise me it's going that route, but you are like you said, you're at a severe disadvantage if you don't have it anymore.
That's
so
right.
you got to keep up with everybody else, and that's unfortunate because I'm one of those guys that I like old school. We talked about this last time. I mean, with Seymour charts and blue maps and all that stuff. I spent 25 years of my life developing spots. Yep. You know, putting notes in GPSs and writing them down on pieces of paper, and now these guys come along with all these fancy finagled machines that can do it all for you. It just makes you irritated. But if you don't keep up, you get left behind.
Eight ball. Yeah, real quick, and I know you guys got to get to practicing, and I cannot thank y'all enough for taking the time to do this with us. But I want real quick, just kind of, and you and I spoke. I want it to be real vague. But let's talk about a game plan. What do you see? And Tony and I went down to Wakawachi on the way here. Water looked a little bit iffy, dirty-wise there. What are you thinking? Are you going to be way inland? Or are you staying down here? You got a certain bait you think is going to be good? But again, don't go in any areas in case any of your competitors happen to listen to the podcast tonight after I upload it. But give me a quick rundown on what Team CCU is concentrating on right now while you're pre-fishing.
Well, our plan, we've stayed inland so far during practice. We got 2 more days of practice, and the water is a little bit muddy. It's cooler than I honestly expected, but with all the rain, I mean, that's a given. And the muddiness of the water, I don't think it's hurting it too bad because, I mean, you can still find clean water. And, I mean, we're catching them any way we want to catch them. It's just the quality is what is kind of hurting us at the moment. We've caught a few good fish, but we haven't been able to put a good pattern on anything.
Yep.
But I don't know, bait selection is kind of hard. I mean, I think if somebody can find a real good spinnerbait bite, that could definitely play. I've caught some fish on a spinnerbait, but as far as something that they're just dialed in on, I haven't found it.
All right.
Because I got 10 rods on the deck right now, and I've caught a fish on every one of them.
Yeah, that's what I was just telling Steven. You can catch them from top to bottom right now. It pretty much your choice of what you want to catch them. But
yes, you can catch them any way you want to.
You just keep going through your arsenal.
Yep.
And just
you got it.
Keep plugging away, and you'll figure out which one is more consistent and more consistently gets the better quality fish. You'll figure it out.
Hey,
that's the plan.
What's a big fish going to be, Andrew, in this tournament? I don't know.
The biggest fish that gets weighed in?
Yeah. What do you think?
I definitely. There's 100, probably around 130, 140 boats. I'd imagine between a 7 and 8 pounder. You'll see in 7 and 8.
Okay.
I wouldn't surprise me if you saw a 9 just with how many boats are out here. And I mean, like I said, these fishermen, these college anglers are so good.
Yep.
I mean, they always can figure something out.
Well, if it's any consolation, I don't know if you got to watch the last Bassmaster Elite tournament this past weekend on at La Crosse, Wisconsin. It was not one with forward-facing sonar. They had to go back to old school pitching, flipping, frogging, top watering in grass on a river system, and that's where you're going to be.
I'm putting that in your advantage. I'm putting that, and this is what Tony and I have had the discussion. I'm putting that at your advantage because of your knowledge that does not require electronics here. And I know when it comes down to the crunch time, when you're behind the 8 ball and you need that 1 or 2 fish, to fill out a decent bag, you know in your head where to go. I mean, you just know where you're going to be able to go. And I really look to see. I'm not putting pressure on you, brother. Just so you know, I love you. I love you to death. Yeah, I'm not trying to put pressure on you, but I do have the same feeling Tony does. I do really feel like you and Jackson have definitely an advantage
When you
with it here.
develop spots over the years, and it's a lot easier to say, I got a 3-pound average, I need 1 4-pounder. And you know where he's at. You've called him so many times. It makes it a little bit easier to fire up that motor and make a 10-mile run to make that one cast at that one stump that you've caught that fish at so many times. Keep those little individual spots in your head and don't forget them, because it may come down to you needing that one quality bite to put you over the top. And you know where he's at.
Yep.
You've called him too many
Yeah,
times.
that's right. Like,
Well,
like I've been telling Connor, like we have such an advantage just because like I grew up here and been fishing here for. I really got into bass fishing when I was about 14 when I started fishing your Thursday night tournaments, and I mean, I got a lot of spots that are just like 3-4 cast spots. You catch one and you don't, and that's what I told Connor. I was like, we just can't hit those because I don't want to pull a 5-pounder off that we might need in the tournament.
Exactly.
So,
yep.
It's that, and I told you the last time we spoke, your A to B, back to A knowledge of the river system, where to run, where not to run, what little cut-throughs will take you here and there. Don't show up on a map. I don't care what kind of map you got. Google Earth don't show every little cut-off and run-off and how you can squeak through these little places to save 20 minutes of running time.
that's a fact.
So,
Well, listen.
You're definitely at an advantage there, buddy, and I want to wish you good luck. Know
Yeah,
I'm here, and anything I can do for you, you know where my front porch is at, and I'll be there every day waiting to see you.
We wish you the best of luck. Just wanted to also pass on good luck from Jordan Tompkins. I spoke with him this morning, too, and he said to make sure to wish you best of luck, brother.
Well, I do appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank you for taking the time. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Y'all have a good one.
You
All
too.
right,
Good
buddy.
luck.
You too. Bye. All right, there you go. So,
Such a good kid, man.
you know, when it
Such a
comes down to having
hard-working-
five fish, you remember how many times? You remember in the Elite Series when they were here? You remember how we laughed at guys that had no fish, and we were like, "Oh my God, really?" Like, I mean, I could go to that river right now and catch 5 fish. I mean, like, how in the world?
within 50 foot of where they were sitting.
It makes a big difference knowing places that you can fall back on if you get into that position. You know.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly right. I mean, you got a home field advantage for sure here. He does. He's got a home field advantage, and I'm going to be cheering for him. He's going to be wearing one of our Trilogy hats, or Jackson's going to be wearing one of our Trilogy
Jackson's
hats.
got a Trilogy hat and Trilogy on the boat. Andrew, actually, I'll just share this real quick. Andrew has some sponsorship from SALT, Student Angler League Tournament Trail. So he did have some partnership with that, and as a group that he fished with. But our good friend Jackson is going to be representing Trilogy as a writer. He's also going to make us write us an incredible article based on all of his experience this week. So we'll have, and I hope it's going to be like a 2 or 3 part series.
Good.
So yeah, he's doing that. And next, I wanted to go ahead and try and get Beth on. Miss Beth Goodall is the director of Parks and Recreation for Georgetown County. And after working under Sale Hemingway, who was very instrumental in starting the attention that we've gotten from bass, we'll talk to her real quick about the things that are going on in Georgetown County, along with the tournament as well. There's a lot of stuff going on, from concerts to all kinds of stuff. So we'll get Miss Beth on and talk to her for a minute. She is another one that just does a great job with recognizing all that we offer here in the county. Hello, Miss Beth.
Hey there, Inglis. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm joined by Senator Stephen Goldfinch and, of course, Tony the Bassmaster Carter here, and we're doing a little podcast called Trilogy Outdoors, and we wanted to talk to you real quick about all the events that are going on here in Georgetown this weekend, and quite honestly, congratulate you on bringing these guys back. I'm going to tell you one thing. You know, you and I talked about the economic impact on the radio show a couple weeks ago, but I saw 2 gas stations that had a huge impact this morning when I saw them all lined up filling up with gas.
I would say that the fuel purchases have increased across the county. I know these guys have been fishing for days now, and they still have days left to go.
Well, that's awesome. I know that I appreciate that. You know, as the senator for the area, I appreciate people coming here and spending money. How many people are in this tournament, Beth? Do you know?
So there's 130 boats,
Times 2.
260, or yeah. So there's a lot of anglers. They're here from 24 different states too. So these aren't local anglers. Most of them have never been to Georgetown County. Probably a number of them may never have been to South Carolina. I was following an Illinois bass boat down Front Street last night. So, you know, they've really come in from all over. And this being the national championship, their moms, their dads, their aunts, uncles, grandparents, there's a lot of family traveling with them too.
I bet, yeah.
So
I bet.
really exciting.
Not a bad place to vacation.
No, not a
Absolutely
bad place.
not.
That's
No.
great. And Labor Day weekend, I mean, it's just this is how you end the summer right here. I mean,
Absolutely. When I was talking to the bass officials just a little bit ago, and they said that, you know, these guys that don't make the cut on Saturday, they're not going anywhere. They're staying till Sunday, and a number of them apparently have family with them, like I said. But since it's Labor Day weekend, apparently a number of them have even just kind of made a little vacation out of it, kind of a family vacation, and aren't going to be in a hurry to rush out of here, which I know we love to hear that as well.
oh yeah, because you know, along with the tournament and all the things that are going on with that, Bass obviously does an incredible job with all their events. If anybody was at either of the elite events, you saw. I mean, it's a first-class operation. But you've got some great things going on downtown in Georgetown with the Georgetown Business Association, I believe. But we're going to have a blast downtown, aren't we? Also.
Absolutely. So yes, the Business Association, the Chamber of Commerce, the Winyah Auditorium, all of those groups have come together, and we've got live entertainment starting at 6 o'clock on Friday afternoon, going with a country band, then going into a concert at 8 on Front Street on the Bassmaster stage. And then the entertainment starts back up at noon on Saturday in the New South Pepsi beverage tent area. That'll continue until the Blue Dogs take the stage on the Bassmaster stage at 8 o'clock Saturday night. So lots of stuff going on down here.
Absolutely, and people can come out and watch all the weigh-in, and they can watch the blast-off. The weigh-in is pretty awesome. I mean, you do get to see a lot of emotions on that stage, and I don't know who they'll send to run the weigh-in, but typically their weighmasters / commentators on stage are pretty doggone good and make it worth the trip themselves. Now, will this be on television? Is it going to be televised now, or is it going to be eventually? Is that how it works?
It's live on Bassmaster.com, and then of course they broadcast that, you know, all over some of the different outdoor channels, I think. But it will be live every day on Bassmaster.com. So they've, you know, got a lot planned with the broadcasts, and yeah, it's pretty exciting to see those fish go across the scales. But that'll start at 2:30 on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That's great. And blast off is safe light, so 6:30 to 6:45ish, or is it 7? What?
6:30-ish. We were out there this morning, and 6:30 you were beginning to have pretty good light. So yeah, they'll blast them off in probably about 20 at a time. Same for the weigh-in. They'll flight the weigh-in. They'll start coming in at 2:30 and flight that with about 20 at a time there as well.
All right. Well, I know you've got a busy day. We've given all the information out, and we're actually going to put the podcast up tonight live. But one last question I wanted to ask, and this was brought up by 2 locals today. They wanted to make sure, have you talked to Bass on their plans for the releasing of the fish? Do you have somewhat of the idea of the plan? Are they going to be trying to take fish back to the different areas, or will they kind of be running them up into Waccamaw and around there? You think they'll disperse them in further areas?
They're going to go different places. They've got a couple of different boats, and so they can send them off simultaneously in a few directions.
That's great.
So they're very particular about their fish care.
Yes,
and,
they are.
You know, that whole process. And I kind of like what you had said. The fish are just going to get it right across the scale, and then they're going right back to the water.
Yep.
Well, I'll be following those boats.
Yeah, Stephen. We're going to make a bass fisherman out of Stephen, but I mean, he as much as he does outdoors already. I don't think he needs to add this in because
it'll be a challenge.
Yeah, he already does too much. But first and foremost, we're proud of you. We are proud of Georgetown County. We're all Georgetown County residents sitting right here. We love where we live, and it's nice that we're getting to share it with people. And so, thank y'all so much. And I'll see you Thursday evening at the Harris Auditorium. Did I say that right?
The Howard Auditorium.
Howard Auditorium.
For the angler dinner and captain's meeting. Yes, we all love where we live, and that's why we do this. We just want to share it with all these new folks.
Well, thank you so much, and have an enjoyable week. And if you need anything, give me a shout, but I will see you Thursday down there, okay?
Thanks, Beth.
All right. Thank y'all.
All right. Thank you, Miss Beth. Darling. All right. There we go. So, you know, we've talked to, I think we're going to miss Jackson. It seems he's out of cell service, and that's okay. But let's talk about Tony's game plan. We had said that I had to remind Tony, as much as he wanted to give advice to Andrew, that he had to keep his mouth shut, which is hard for Tony sometimes. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about your game plan, because I could tell you were trying to get there. Let's talk about it. You know, I'll tell you, Jordan Tompkins, I talked to this morning. Jordan skipped college. He went from high school straight to professional bass fishing. He's incredible. He won the MLF event from right there in Myrtle Beach. Great kid. Talked to him this morning. He told me water levels where they're at, the amount of rain that we've had, and with his comfort level, he would be fishing the rice fields around Hagley. All right. So, Tony, let's talk about the Bassmaster. If this was it, your one chance to shine, what would your game plan be? Where would you be?
It would depend on my pre-fishing, what I've seen as far as consistency-wise, and boat traffic. That's going to be the big issue. I think you mentioned today that somebody put up a post about Santee River.
So Bassmasters put up a post, and it was either saying that they expected the winner to come from there or telling a story about the Elite Series that was here. They mentioned Santee River. So what happens is you got all these people that have never been here before. So apparently yesterday at Santee River, it was an absolute gom at all the landings with people that went up there. So that's, I don't want to go any further because I'll be giving advice. But no, not advice, but I give information about our friends. But anyway, so with that amount of traffic going up the Santee River to fish, some other people have decided to go elsewhere to try and fish and let that pressure be on the fish for a couple of days and then go fish there because, I mean, you know, Santee River is a different beast that anywhere around here because of the dam control at Santee Cooper at coming out of Marion, right? That comes out of Marion.
Yep.
It's a different beast. You've got a lot of water after rainfalls that flows down, but they can control that river level where the PD, Waccamaw, and such is not as controlled as there. So your tides are a little more consistent in the Santee River as long as we haven't had a ton of rainfall inland, correct?
Exactly. And it depends on what we get in the next 2 days, the upper part of the state, as to how much water they're going to be releasing to come down through Santee River. And it could literally go from being 3 foot below normal to 6 foot above normal in a matter of hours.
That's right.
It just depends on how much water they have to release.
So Stephen, have you ever bass fished in Santee River?
I mean, probably at some point in my life, but I mean, not.
It's incredible. It is absolutely incredible.
I've alligator hunted a lot in Santee River.
There's a lot of them there. I can tell you that from bass fishing there, but it's incredible. And what we were talking about with that current, even as I guess we're 40 miles away from Santee from the dam, maybe 40, 30, where we fish, concentrate. It's amazing when they turn the gates open and start flowing water. It's that current goes.
Oh, it's just.
I mean, you'll run your trolling motor on 8, 9, or 10 just to make any movement, just to get any movement in there. And Tony mentioned earlier the kill zone. It becomes so important to hit every spot in the Santee River because with that current, as what it is, when you've got a little bit of spot, just a small spot that's out of the current, that fish is going to be holding tight. Like Tony always says, his nose to the tree. He's going to have his nose to the stump or his nose to the tree. And there could be a stretch of, even 200 yards, they could hold a ton of nice fish down there.
Yes.
And this time of the year, it's a good time.
You start talking about current-oriented fish, it's certain banks hold them when that current is just absolutely ripping, but a half a mile an hour is a lot.
Yep.
And those fish will move. I mean, I've seen them push 3/4 of a mile down the river to get to a bank that there's just a slight amount less water pressure because they don't want to swim in it all day long. They can't sit backwards to the current and swim. So, yeah, they have to stick their nose behind any kind of little water break. And you've seen it. You learned it firsthand when you hear me talk about the little kill box, the little 12-inch kill zone. When that water gets to ripping, that 12-inch box can go down to the size of the cup on that Yeti.
Yeah.
It's and if you miss it,
you're not getting money.
You're just. And I watched you do it several times. Make 3, 4 casts
to one spot.
To one spot, and then finally on the 4th cast, you got to that nickel-sized spot.
Yep.
That he was comfortable to come out in that current, get it to where he could get back in his little safe zone.
Now, I know we're running out of time, and one thing I wanted to bring up is electronics, and Stephen brought up the side scan or live scope or the offshore stuff. How important can that be in Santee River? And I concentrating on Santee River because what you're talking about is I'm a bank fisherman. I don't have any electronics. I didn't have any electronics on my bass boat, really. I'm a bank fisherman. I look for visual reference to where I want to fish, what I'm fishing on. Santee River, in the past, in the elite events itself, ended up producing some really nice fish. And most of the times they were caught off the bank. And that is going to be completely off the electronics. I mean, that's where you're finding. And it's mainly going to be a log jam, a pile, something that's gommed up down there.
Sandbars.
Sandbars that gives them some type of current break.
Those giant trees that everybody fishes the stump ball of on the bank that stick out 75 foot out in the river and's got a whole treetop out there. Those are going to be places that you're going to find your quality 4-pound fish, which is what you're looking for. You want to try to weigh a 20-pound bag every day. If you can do that, you're going to be sitting pretty good. But, somebody's going to have that 23, 24, 25-pound bag that is doable out of any of these rivers on any given day. Somebody's going to stumble across it, and electronics will play 10 times more in Santee River than they will play up here in the PD and the Waccamaw and the Black.
Right.
Just because of all the debris in the water, and the people who are versed with it know how to use it really well. It will help them.
Yep.
Should they? Question for maybe it's a hypothetical question.
Bring it on.
But I mean, they're talking about banning this side scan right now in the Governor's Cup series because that's all that's winning nowadays.
Yep.
I mean, should certain technologies be banned to try to bring everybody back to an even playing ground?
Field.
I mean, should the guy that spends $50,000 on electronics be a better bass fisherman, than the guy that spends $2,000? I mean, is that really what we're looking for?
Well, technology and the world moves on, and there, trust me, it's a big debate right now in the bass fishing world on electronics and stuff. And the older generation, you know, they've earned their scars.
Yeah.
They've earned their trophies. It's now to where you ask any of them, you can go out, spend $100,000 on a boat and put the electronics on it, and you're automatically a good fisherman.
Yep.
Right.
You're starting off.
And is that right? And that's what I'm getting
Is
at.
that right?
Is that right? I mean, if you're going to fish professionally, this tournament's not necessarily professional, but let's just say,
right. Yeah.
For our terminology here, if you're going to fish professionally, if you're going to be in these tournaments where you can win giant pots of money, should there be an equalizer? I mean, should we say no X, Y, and Z? I mean, for Governor's Cup, we're talking about major deep water side scan, big money stuff. Should we cancel that stuff and bring everybody to sort of the same starting ground? You're either good or you're not good, and the technology is not going to make you better.
All right. Here's one thing I'm going to tell you too. If you look at the Bassmaster stage that will be set up this weekend, you will see Garmin on it.
Yeah.
You will see Lowrance on it.
Yeah.
You will see Hummingbird on it. You will probably see Simrad on it.
Yeah.
But you will see those three at least on there.
And they don't want to get rid of that money.
Thank you.
They don't want to get rid of that money.
And the top guys are all using one from each of those companies on their boat because one has a detail that the other doesn't, or so forth, so on. I mean, Patrick has a Lowrance, a Hummingbird, and a Garmin on his bow, correct?
And for so many years, the sponsors wouldn't agree to that.
Oh, no, they would have been like, oh, absolutely not. But now it's like.
Kevin Van Dam had to use Hummingbird, period, you know. But now you look at Kevin's boat, he's got every brand because one does something a little better than the other brand, and that's the way 99% of the boats are set up. But is it fair? You was asking. I don't know. As technology, I guess you have to keep up. I will never be able to afford to go drop $3,500
on one unit,
on one graph to go on the bow of my boat, much less three of them.
Yeah. And
the three transducers and the brains, and I will never be able to afford that. So it's.
I mean, I'm like.
I think what you're going to see, and mark it down, it's on here. You got it recorded. I'm saying it. I think you're going to see. It's kind of like they went back to 90 horsepower and below tournaments because people started fussing about these boats with these 200s and 300s on it that can run 80 miles an hour, and you got other boats that's 60, 70, 80, 90 horsepower boats. You know, so they started doing just those individual tournaments to where here it is, 90 horsepower, done, or you can't fish. I see in the future that there's going to be zero electronics bass tournaments put on. Now, it'll probably be put on by older people because
it'll just be
but I think you'll see that it'll catch on because, man, there's not a lot of people without sponsorship nowadays who can just go drop $50,000 on electronics to go on the front of a bass boat.
To me, there's an analogy here to baseball, and I'm not a big baseball fan either. So
I was going to go golf, but keep going.
I may even get this analogy incorrect, but I know that baseball has started getting boring for people because most of the time you got these guys that are, I don't know what kind of enhancements they're taking, but you either got a strikeout or you got a home run. You get a strikeout or you get a home run. And so, I mean, what you're seeing here is people saying, okay, I mean, this is becoming boring. Same thing seems to me like it applies to bass fishing. If you all spend $100,000, you can all be good at bass fishing.
Yep.
Well, what if we just take everybody back to square one? If you take everybody back to square one, all you're doing is you're missing the money, right?
Yep.
All you're doing is you're taking the money part out. You're bringing everybody back. Everybody should have equal opportunity. Not everybody should be equal.
I agree.
Everybody should have equal opportunity. If everybody gets $100,000, you should all be good. If everybody's taking away the $100,000, everybody should be good if you're in this tournament.
Yep.
If you're not, then that's your problem. You should be booted from the tournament, or you should be booted from qualifying for the tournament. But the electronics should not be the thing that gets you qualified. The electronics should not be the thing that makes you good.
That's right. It should be
your work ethic.
You're saying it.
It's your work ethic. It's your
the
time
first
on
to the barn in the morning and the last to leave the barn in the afternoon.
It's your
the
time on the
hard
water.
work pays off. And, you know, when Ray Scott started this years and years and years ago, look back. Trust me, it's in the archives. You can watch the tournaments. Every boat was identical.
Identical. They were identical.
Exact same motor, exact Humminbird Super 60 flasher on the front.
The flasher.
Nobody had any unfair advantages.
Right.
It was equal across the board.
Yeah.
And for so many years, that's the way it was. And then started getting into the money side and different sponsors and different boat builders. But forever, it was Ranger boats, one motor on the back. That was it.
That was it.
Everybody had the same exact trolling motor. The only thing you had different was your lures, your choice of lures and your choice of rods. That was it. And it was at a point where you was only allowed so much weight in tackle. You could put whatever tackle you wanted, but you could only have so many pounds of tackle, and you could only have so many rods that you was allowed to bring to fish. I see that as being a good thing. That put everybody on an equal playing field. And
is there any difference in this than restrictor plate racing?
Yeah, right. Another analogy there, right? I mean, I think that's a great point. That's a great point.
I'll tell you what, that is a great point. Great job bringing it up, Stephen. Great job bringing it up. I have thought for the longest time that it is tough as a bass fisherman, to get out there and know that you're fishing against a guy that's got $30,000 in electronics on the bow, and it does make a difference. I mean,
if it's me and I'm going bass fishing for fun, I can have whatever I want to have, right? I mean, aren't there? Tell me again, shows my ignorance in bass fishing. Aren't there these newfangled rigs now that you can throw that'll basically like make the bass commit suicide? I mean, he's just gonna bite the thing.
Yep.
Right, I forget what they call these.
There's
things.
a lot of them.
The Alabama rig.
Yeah, the Alabama rigs and all this stuff. Look,
they outlawed them.
Well, if I'm fishing personally for fun in the river, okay, I don't care. Fish your Alabama rig, fish your 32-foot bass boat with your $1 million in electronics on it. I don't care. But if we're competing, now it seems like that's a different story. It seems like we should all be competing on the same playing field.
Yep, you're right. And again, I was going to talk about golf. Same thing with golf, with clubs, where clubs have gone. The faces that the club heads that came out, several years ago that were illegal because of the basic spring reaction made out of titanium, I think at that time, or carbon. The ball was spring action coming off of it, and they said, nope, illegal. Because of the advantage that it gave. I mean, golf equipment's changed so much through the years, and now everybody's got, incredible equipment. But I think it's in every sport that it's happening.
Yeah.
It's in every sport. And just like you said, offshore fishing, near shore, inshore. I know right now with side scan, I don't have it on my boat now.
I couldn't imagine using live target out on the reefs and wrecks out here. That would just be insane.
Oh, it would be so nice to have it rigged up.
Forward-facing sonar. Really?
I've heard about this live target. This basically is the picture of what you got going on below you, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you drop a camera basically, and it comes up.
It looks like a computer, but it looks like a picture. But what happens is that computer, when it sends everything out and it comes back, the way
it shows movement.
It shows
what
movement.
it does. It, like, say there's a treetop and all the limbs is there. If there's any fish in or around that treetop, it'll actually show the fish moving on the target as the tree stands still, so to speak.
Right.
So it'd be the same thing like going to a shipwreck.
Yeah.
You know, it draws it out and it shows you all the windows and stuff on the side of the old ship, but then it picks up any movement around it.
Yeah.
And that brain that Tony was talking about, the hub or whatever that runs it, is able to take that and compute it and give you a picture of a fish. I mean, it basically is. I mean, it's to the point now where when they're drop shotting, which is, basically fishing vertical, they're able to watch the fish take their bait.
It's so precise that you can literally take a 2-inch Ned rig worm and throw it 30 feet from the boat and watch it drop all the way to the bottom on your screen and watch every fish swim right to it.
Yeah. And again, I think I would like to see that. I'd like to play with that on my own in the river for fun, but not in a tournament. I certainly don't want the guy next to me in a tournament that's fishing the tournament using it and me not have it.
You not have it.
Right? I mean, that just something about that rubs me wrong.
Well, if you watched any of it this year, 95% of the tournaments has all been won using forward-facing sonar, and this is the picture. The camera guy sitting in the back, his official sitting down in a chair,
and that
he's videoing, and here's your guy. He's standing right here.
Looking at the sonar.
Looking down. That's how he's fishing.
Not looking at the bank. Not looking at the trees.
Never look up. It's video game fishing at its finest.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that's a great analogy, Tony. It's video game fishing at its finest. It's not real. It's not even real anymore. You don't have to read the water. You don't have to look. I was teaching my kids during the Spanish mackerel tournament. Like I said, okay, well, tell me what, it was so flat. I mean, you could see any little bait. And I said, tell me what you see there. And first thing Tripp says is, there's nervous water. There's nervous water. But you don't get that. You don't get that video game fishing.
Nope. Nervous water, buddy. I hadn't heard that in a while. I love nervous water.
Right. I mean, that's the kind of thing you pick up on a boat, watching water, watching for things that are different, watching for changes, watching for bait patterns.
Being aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, I mean, it's watercraft. I mean, it's what it is. It's watercraft. Same way you have woodscraft, it's watercraft. And video game fishing at its finest, Tony. You said it.
There you go.
And that's sad to me.
Yeah, it is. But
it's come down to just what you said. Whoever's got the most money wins.
Yep. And you're a pro instantly.
I'd like to hear
sign that check, and you're a pro.
I'd like to hear the other side of this. I mean, obviously we're a little biased. I mean, from the conversation we're having, I'd like to hear. English, we need somebody at Garmin or Simrad or whoever does this. What you call it?
Live scope.
I'd like somebody
and optics. Yeah, keep
I'd
going.
like somebody to come on here and tell me why I'm wrong.
Yep, I agree.
Please, I'd love to debate this conversation, and so I can at least I'd love the idea of fishing by myself.
So I don't know if you're going to get to come down this weekend with the kids. I don't know how busy you are, but if you get to come down there, maybe we go to the Garmin booth or to the Humminbird booth, or because they'll be there. Trust me, they'll be represented, and talk to them and let's say, hey, we want to talk to you, and you tell us why. Why does everybody need this?
Garmin's the one that does the live picture you're talking about?
Garmin does. They all do.
Humminbird, Garmin, Lowrance. You got the Garmin Live Scope. You got the
Live Scope. That's what I was talking about.
You got the Lowrance Active Target. And then you got the Panoptics. Then you got the Mega Live Imaging.
Yeah, Mega Live Imaging is the one that's 360. And you see everything swimming live.
It's
crazy.
So it's crazy.
I mean, just the mega imaging alone, to be able to draw out every twig laying on the bottom of a surface,
in 360 degrees around the boat. Yep.
98% of the work out of it, because you never knew what was on the bottom out looking across that lake till now. Now you know, and that was awesome that they come up with that. You can see a rock. It's that big at 100 yards.
Well, this is coming to
now you can see the fish swimming beside the rock.
Yep.
Yeah, this is coming to an offshore boat near you at some point in the future because, I mean, this is where they tested side scan. They tested side scan in the rivers with bass fishermen years ago, and then all of a sudden it translated. I mean, I know they've had side scan a long time, but now it's translated into these giant machines on offshore boats. It won't be long before this, what you call it? What is it called again? I always forget the name of it. Forward target fishing.
Forward-facing sonar.
Forward-facing sonar.
And live target.
Live target.
Live target.
Oh yeah, it'll be on my Garmin 16-inch.
Yep, it will.
Screen.
You
3 years from now, and it'll be gazillions of dollars. Won't be on mine, but it'll be on somebody.
Well, it's already there.
Yeah.
They already have it.
All you need is a transducer, buddy. That's it.
But I mean, to translate that from 5 foot in the river to 250 or 500 feet in the ocean, that's a big leap.
Well,
right?
They've had it and they've used it for years, and where the side imaging and down imaging and all that came from was from these companies that used it to go out and actually used it for years through the military and for finding human bodies.
Right.
Yep, that's it.
And
that's it. I used mine to find a $14,000 propeller in in Crazy Sister Marina for, I think it was it Reese here or was it no, it was your neighbor who lives down the corner from you. Anyway, we used it. I found it for him. His wheel had fallen off, and I went out and circled around the entrance to the marina, and I spotted it. Pulled over it, got on top of it, sat right there. Their divers got in the water, swam over, and found it. So, I mean, there is some good to it too, but we'll have to work on that this weekend and see if we can't get a representative of one of those fine companies to come on and talk about it more. But any last words? We've gone a little bit over our time, which I'm amazed, honestly. But we've gone a little bit over our time. Not that we have a time limit, but Tony, thank you for coming in.
Thank y'all for having me, man.
Tony, you ready to school me in the backyard?
I'm ready to take you in the boat and go in the river.
I want somebody to teach me how to fish the lake behind the house first.
He had Adam on Saturday in the tournament making him promise to take him bass fishing this week in the river or next week. So it's a lot of fun fishing with him. And again, he will teach you a lot and show you a lot. And I hope that our local guys do great this weekend. I know we're going to have a great turnout for the tournament. We'll be down there. Again, that is the 2022 College Bassmasters National Championship out of Winyaw Bay, right here on our home waters. And if y'all don't have anything else, I'm going to go ahead and sign us on out of here, y'all. I'll tell you what, every week we like to tell you, don't forget all of our other great brands from Trilogy Outdoors Magazine, Southern English Radio Show, and, of course, the Trilogy Outdoors podcast here. Make sure you subscribe, click, like, do whatever. But make sure you catch up with us every single week, and we'll be back next week with another exciting episode that, as always, if it's dealing with fins, fur, and feathers, you're going to find it right here on Trilogy Outdoors.
Trilogy Outdoors Podcast is a product of Trilogy Outdoors Media. All views and opinions of our hosts and guests are not necessarily those of our sponsors. Trilogy Outdoors is produced and edited by Trilogy Outdoors Media. Be sure to follow us on all the podcast platforms as well as our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And also don't forget our other brands, Southern English Radio Show and Walk 'Em All Outdoor Magazine. To find more information, visit TrilogyOutdoorsMedia.com. And remember, if it's anything dealing with fins, fur, and feathers, you're going to find it right here on Trilogy Outdoors.